Hello everybody, hello YouTube family, I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to Drive Reloaded. This is our very first show as promised. I'm very excited about today's show. Now, for those that still don't know what Drive Reloaded is about, it is a show that gives you the platform to take initiative and be in the driver's seat of your own life. So I promised you that we will have a few guests on the show. And as promised, we have our very first guest, and I'm excited about the woman we have on the show today. She is the epitome of success. She not only has a BSc degree in finance and accounting, she was also an assistant lecturer at some point in her life. So I know a lot of you guys from UCT know who she is. So not only was she an assistant lecturer, but she is most importantly an interim Chief Financial Officer of one of the top performing real estate trusts listed on the JSE. And guess what? She's only 32 years old. Please welcome Laila Razack. Laila.
Hi Z.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, well, thank you. How does it feel like to hear that sort of introduction? I mean, I know it's 5% of who you are. I mean, I haven't said none of the things that you actually represent. But how does it feel like to actually hear who you are?
It feels a little bit surreal. It just when you're just going about doing your life on a daily basis, you just keep running and you keep working and you keep just being you. And so to hear that, it just sounds like a bit of an out of body experience. But I guess it sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tell us, why finance? Why did you choose to go to finance? Is it something that you've always known that you wanted to do? Or?
Yeah, I think it's something I've always known. My entire family are business people. Okay. So my grandfather came from India on a ship and started packing bones in a butchery because that's how he started, earning money, enough money to bring my grandmother over. And ever since then, he then eventually started his own butcher, grew, started a couple more, and that's where my mother's family sort of come from. And my dad's family, they owned a little corner shop. Eventually, most of his brothers and sisters have gone into some sort of business or the other. Yeah. So both on my mother's side and my father's side, they're all a lot of self-made entrepreneurial people. And that's how I guess I saw the world. I saw people talking about business and making their businesses grow and understanding finance and business. So that's sort of very natural to me, and that's how I got into it.
It's amazing. So you did the varsity thing, and then for quite some time, because you were also an assistant lecturer.
Yeah.
And then you moved into corporate. What is some of the mental shift that you had to undergo to kind of move from being a student to then moving into the corporate world and the corporate industry? What is some of the mental shift or change that you had to undergo?
I think the first thing is just discipline. There's no one telling you have to be at a 9 a.m. lecture and you have to study X amount of hours, but there are deliverables, there are rules or corporate rules that you have to adhere to. So it's being at work before 8 in the morning, making sure that all the work you need to do is done, making sure that you're managing your clients, that you're following up with your managers, that you're managing partner expectations. So it's just really understanding where you fit in an organization, understanding what the organization's goals are and how you're going to contribute to that organization's success. So it moves to being dual focused, because when you're at varsity, you're just focusing on yourself. You're going, okay, cool, what do I need to do to get through? Whereas when you move into work, you're still focusing on yourself first. You're asking, what can I do to develop? What do I do as an employee? But then you're also asking, what does my organization do? What does it want to achieve? So it's really being disciplined in making sure that you're looking after your own self-development goals, but also making sure that you're contributing to the organization's success. And that's a big shift, because for a long time when you're at school, you're at varsity, you're just focusing on getting the grades to make it to the next stage. But now it's about understanding where am I working towards as an organization and as myself. So that was probably the biggest shift for me.
Yeah, okay. That's very interesting, because when you do come from varsity into the corporate world, it's almost like the roles or the goal changes, because now it's not about getting into a firm anymore. Now you kind of need to look internally into yourself and go, okay, I'm here.
Exactly.
Now what? Where do I push, or how far do I push the goalposts? Do you feel like it was like that for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So I started my career at PwC, which was great. I did articles there. And during articles, you get exposure to a number of different clients because you're going there, you're auditing for a couple of months, and then you're moving on to the next one. And you're getting experience with a whole bunch of different people, different industries, and you're just learning along the way. But you get to the end of your articles and then you have to ask yourself, okay, do I want to stay here as a manager, manage people, you love the organization, you love the people, or do you as an individual want to move on to the next thing? And you're constantly assessing that. So you're constantly asking yourself, am I staying, am I going, am I learning enough as myself in terms of my own development goals, am I working in an environment which actually stimulates me? And that was always a big thing for me. I never wanted to get bored. I always wanted to be learning. I always wanted to be giving 100% of myself to the job, but also not robbing myself of any learning experiences. So it's constantly checking in and going, am I still happy? Is this an environment which works for me? Am I giving everything that I should be giving to this organization? Are my values aligned with this organization? And that's probably one of the biggest questions you have to constantly ask yourself. Are my values aligned? Are our values aligned? Because the reality is we spend anywhere between 8 and 10 hours a day at work. We spend a lot of time at work. So if you're working in an environment which doesn't feel right to you, then you have to ask yourself, what am I doing here? Sometimes it's, we need the money and we need to make ends meet, and that's okay, but what is my longer term plan? And that's a really important question to ask at every single stage of your career.
One of the things that I find very interesting that you mentioned is that you had to ask yourself as well, what are you offering to the company that you work? So it's not just about what are you getting from a particular company in terms of maybe remuneration, in terms of happiness, but what are you giving? And that's sort of a question of self-improvement as well, where you ask yourself, am I giving my best abilities? And that's something very, it's very deep.
Yes, and it's very important because we derive value from a number of different sources. We derive value from our families, from our kids or husbands or our parents. We derive value from how well we perform at sports or how good we're doing at the gym that week or how we're connecting with spirituality, our religion, you know. So there's a number of different elements, but your career is ultimately one of those elements where you should be deriving some sort of value, depending on how well you do or how you contribute to your job. And I feel like we constantly need to be checking in and asking, what am I getting, but what am I giving? And being honest with ourselves and asking, am I giving as much as I should be giving? Am I just there to fill a seat? Because that's ultimately not fulfilling. You know, but if you're there and you're sharing your ideas, you're sharing your personality, you're sharing all of those things which you have to give, inevitably you'll get something from that person.
That's very phenomenal, especially for me as well as a young professional. It's something that I had to learn, that it's not only about going to work and coming back, and I actually need to participate mentally, emotionally, and all those other aspects. So I think it would be something very wonderful for somebody out there who's also a young professional to get to know. One of the questions that came through from the YouTube comments was a student who's currently, I don't know if she's doing her CA, but she's currently looking for a job, and she wants to know what are some of the things that she could do to stimulate herself or to get mental stimulation while she's still in the process of looking for a job.
Okay, so part of what I used to do and what I think is very powerful is engaging with the right types of people. So if you go on LinkedIn and you find events that seem to be interesting to you, there are often lectures that are given about the economy or about the job market or about politics, all of those things which are happening around us. And if you start going to some of those lectures, you start meeting people, you start connecting, you start sharing ideas, it just becomes a platform for you to gain more knowledge, but also to interact, to put yourself out there and speak to people who are interested in the same things that you are. So I think that's very powerful. Also just reading the news, keeping up to date with topical affairs, understanding what the world economy is doing, I think that's very interesting. And then something which I absolutely love is, thanks to technology these days, there are programs where you can actually study online courses, so short online courses. There's a app, and it's a very well-known online university. It's called the Khan Academy, and basically you can go on there, you can find any subject you're interested in, whether it's economics or politics or current affairs, or even if you're interested in something medical, you just go on there, you say what you're interested in, and they have a number of short courses and lectures available where you can learn about anything. So even when I'm bored over the holidays, or sometimes when I'm not bored but I just want to learn something different, I go onto my app, it's all free, it's all available, and I go, okay, cool, this week I want to learn about X, whatever X is.
So do you just randomly choose a topic?
Just randomly choose a topic and you go, and they have lectures, they have exercises, they have tests.
Wow. What's the name of the app?
It's called Khan Academy.
Khan.
Yeah. K-A-H-N, I think.
K-A-H-N. Yeah. So if you want to learn about a topic, a module, or whatever that is interesting to you in terms of your skills or the line of field that you're in, Khan Academy is what you need to download right now. And to that unsubscribed YouTube comment, this is answering your question. So do subscribe so that we know who you are. Okay. Thank you very much about that, Laila.
Yeah, no, you're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. So top 5 skills at the top of your head that you would recommend or that you would point out as skills to sustain yourself within an industry. And maybe for a student who's watching, who's in varsity, that they can get themselves acquainted to right now, that will sustain themselves in the long run in whatever industry they choose to go in.
So I think technical competence goes without saying, just being able to do the job you're trying to do, understanding the skills that are needed from you.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I don't know if it's more importantly, but equally importantly, is the desire and ability to learn. So always being interested in the field, because our fields are always evolving.
Yeah.
Things which we learned at varsity may not be applicable today, but it's your ability to learn and grasp new concepts. I would say being interactive and communicating with the people you work with is incredibly important, because a lot of where things go wrong is people not communicating openly and effectively. I would say confidence in yourself. So knowing that you have the ability to do something, knowing that you have the ability to speak to someone, to ask someone for help, and then the ability to work hard and have resilience in what you're doing. I think the ability to still power through, to show that you're not scared of working hard, to put in the extra time and effort and energy, and really just to have resilience through the tough phases, because there will be tough parts, and just being able to push through those.
Do you think that's an underrated skill?
Absolutely.
The ability to work hard.
Absolutely. I think that having worked for a number of years through different organizations, I think people underestimate how important it is.
Yeah.
The ability to work hard, to show up every day, to want to work hard, to be present when you're there, to get to work and go, I'm ready to work, I want to work. It's an incredibly underrated skill.
Yeah, because in that again, you're learning about yourself. Because we don't live in isolation.
No.
So in essence, what you apply at the gym, the mental strength that you apply at the gym, you will apply in the office, you will apply at home, and similarly what you apply in the office in terms of your personality and your strength and your ability to work hard will filter through to the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah. I certainly agree with you. You know, what is as somebody that we see as a leader, because I know you are a very humble spirit. You do not see this about yourself. But there's so many people out there that see you. I think you epitomize leadership. And you lead with compassion, with zeal, and with excellence. But if I had to ask you what leadership means to you, what would that sound like?
I think leading is first leading by example. I've never subscribed to leading, do what I say and not what I do. That's not my leadership style at all. It's if I want people to work hard and be passionate about something, I have to lead by example. I have to work hard and be passionate about what I do. I have to live my truth, and that is probably the biggest component of leadership. I would think lead by example. And the second one is to be collaborative. I don't believe in leading from the top and not listening to what anyone has to say. I believe in really collaborating with the people you're leading, listening to ideas. We all have different strengths and weaknesses, and just because I'm seen to be a leader in a certain way, it doesn't mean that I can't listen to your ideas or your ideas aren't valid. It's really about taking a bunch of ideas, coming together and going, okay, this is possibly the best idea we could have come up with. So it's being inclusive in your leadership. Understanding what everyone is doing, what everyone's strengths and weaknesses are, what everyone's perspective is on something, and then maybe taking a step back and going, okay, this is the best collaborative solution to something. And that's really what I think is
and I think it's transformational with how maybe our parents grew up either being led or led. It was mostly about do what I say.
Exactly.
Do you think that was different in getting results out of people? The do as I say, not as I do, as opposed to do as I do. And
I think it's very different. It's very different leadership styles, and we come out of my parents were still do as I say and not as I do. And I think they were changing, and now when I look at them, I can't believe they were my parents because they're so much softer now. So I think it's also a sign of the times where things are changing, things are evolving. We're more in touch with what we feel. We're more in touch with how other people feel. I'd like to believe that we are, at least. So in doing that and in connecting with people, you start understanding that you can't be dictators. Don't work anymore. Even though some of the world leaders are dictators, it just doesn't work on a micro level. It doesn't work when you know the people you're leading. So I think it's definitely a sign of our times, and it's essential to lead in the current age we live in.
Okay, so my next question comes from entitlement, and I'll tell you why I asked this question. A couple of years ago, 5-6 years ago, I left university and I started working as an intern. And here I am, this young girl who, feels like I know everything, coming into the corporate industry, and I sort of felt like people would hand things over to me in terms of responsibilities, in terms of tasks for my growth. And that kind of, in a way, kept me stuck in a mental block, number one, and also in a career block. Because then I was like, but when are they going to acknowledge that I'm actually good? I'm talented, and I had to realize, I had to get out of the rut of entitlement, basically, because I had this thing, I'm young and I've got the vibe, I've got the energy. How would you address that as somebody who is maybe, who was spent so many years within a management position, and you've worked with people, and maybe address it with yourself, maybe 10 years ago, with how maybe you were mentally, or something that you've come across?
I think it's such an interesting question, because I encounter it quite often, where you don't necessarily have people coming to you every day and saying, please help me to grow. The few times that people do come to me and say, please help me to grow, I am more than happy to help in that journey. It's so refreshing. But and particularly to myself, like you said, 10 years ago, I started working at an auditing firm. I was young and fresh and had this exceptional energy. And the most important thing for me at that point in time was really to, firstly, I was very self-confident, so to make sure that I had the ability to do more. And then the minute I had the ability to do more, it was starting to talk to people and understand what is needed to take my career to the next level. What is there that I can get involved in that I'm not getting involved in at the moment? Who can I speak to? What can I do? And you said it absolutely correctly. If I just sat there and done what I was supposed to do from 8 to 5 every single day, I definitely wouldn't have had the exposure I did. I wouldn't have had the ability to be on the clients which I was, the ability to speak to people and get involved in all the things which I did, which ultimately transformed my career. So we can never just sit back and go, it's going to come to me, because things don't just come. Maybe there are lucky few who they do come to, but from my experience, things didn't just come to me. It was a lot of talking to the right people, doing the hard work, when no one else wanted to do the really crappy work, which was actually I saw as a platform to get somewhere else. I'd go, okay, fine, I'll do it. And ultimately, all of those little bits, talking to the right people, doing the work no one else wanted to do, working a little bit harder and longer, all of that added up to, or at least in some way contributed to my career. So it is about just asking, putting your hand up and going, what can I do?
And no not being afraid.
Not being afraid.
Actually be told that, okay, pick up the papers.
Exactly.
Because that's something that I had to face for a very long time. Is I was so lucky where I previously worked. I had a beautiful manager, and there were cultural differences. She was a white lady, I'm a black young girl, so I always felt like, but she would never understand me until we started opening that door, and she sat me down and said, Zianda, don't despise the fact that I give you stuff that you think maybe I don't want to do. It's not about the big picture. It's about the little steps that you need to do. And I never understood that until I actually left the company and got another position at a different place. And I realized that she was right. It wasn't about the little stuff that she felt like she didn't want to do, but it was about enhancing my knowledge and exposure, because here I am feeling like, like I don't want to do this, but it was helping me at the end of the day.
So as an example, in one of my previous roles, the organization was quite small, and there were constantly proposals which had to go out. So you had to put together a document and had to be bound and photocopied and whatever and send it out. And sometimes these proposals happen on a high level, so you're not always, as a junior, you're not always involved. But there was one afternoon where things were running completely late and something needed to be photocopied and bound and the print room wasn't ready. So I said, I'll do it, I'll sort it out. And I had made sure that, I think I took it somewhere to have it printed, drove around, made sure it was printed after hours. The next morning I got to work. My job wasn't to print papers and have them bound, but I thought, okay, cool, let me do this. And the next morning I went in and they said, okay, cool, you've done all of this, so just come with us and to do the proposal. So it's just an example of how something which seemed quite menial and mundane, having things printed, actually translates into you being a part of a really big deal, which is really important to your team. And it's just things like that. Pick it up. If no one else wants to do it, just do it. It's
never know.
Exactly. You never know where it's gonna. Exactly. You never know who's watching. You never know where it's gonna take you. And it's not always about doing things to get an end result. It may translate into nothing, but I promise you, those little steps, it all adds up. Just look for things where you can be useful.
It's amazing. Laila, what drives you? What is it that keeps you going? What is it that you wake up and say, this is my reason for doing that which I'm doing, and doing it also excellently? That internal motivator.
It's the constant quest to just do better, to be a better person, to be, and that's in my career, it's in my marriage, it's in my family life, it's in myself. I just want to know that I've learned everything I can possibly learn, and you'll never learn everything you can possibly learn, but it's that yearning to just learn more, do more, be more, and that's what keeps me going.
Do you do anything for fun? With all this that's happening around you, do you ever do anything for fun?
I go to the gym. I love the gym. I love my gym. I love doing fun classes, Pilates, gravity Pilates, and yoga, and just high intensity classes which are fun. I enjoy brunches. I love going out for brunch with my friends, and then I also just love a pajama night indoors with my friends or my husband watching Netflix. So
What are you watching Netflix?
Right now, I'm watching the show by Gwyneth Paltrow. So she started a business, Goop, which I love. I just think it's amazing when females start these businesses and they grow into amazing. Yes. So she has the show called Goop Lab, where every week or every episode, I guess, they just explore new ideas.
Yeah.
So they've seen what psychedelics do for people trying to unlock trauma, and the last episode I watched was this guy who dives into ice water, and through that he's learned breathing techniques, he's learned how to be calm, he's gotten rid of his anxiety, and he teaches other people the techniques and what cold water can do for you. So it's very way out there stuff.
I should definitely watch this series.
Yeah, watch it.
I'm very scared of water.
Really? No, watch it. I mean, it's amazing. So it's just interesting. I like seeing what she does. I like seeing crazy out there ideas. So.
And are there things that you learn and that you actually apply in your whole life?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
The actual series.
Yeah. And it's interesting because then I can talk to people. So when I meet a doctor, I'll go, I just watched the show.
Can you perform this? Can you do this?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So yeah, I like it. Yeah.
If you had to look at your 15-year-old self and advise the Laila that you were 15 years ago, what would you say to her?
You're going to be okay. I was a very nervous 15-year-old. I always wanted to get 100% or make sure I'm in the top 10 in the class, make sure I'm performing excellently at everything, because otherwise I'm just not going to be good enough. If I could tell my 15-year-old self anything, it would just be, you're going to be okay, work hard, but enjoy your time of being young, enjoy your youth, enjoy these moments, enjoy your friends, enjoy these experiences that you're having. That's one thing I would definitely have wanted to do more, just enjoy it.
Yourself 5 years ago?
Probably the same thing. So maybe I should just tell myself that now. Enjoy life. Just, we work so hard and our lives are so complicated, and you have all these obligations and you work incredibly hard to get yourself somewhere. But we need to enjoy the process.
Yeah, it's amazing. And 5 people that you would say inspire you, that motivate you, and why?
Okay, let's go with people that maybe. Wait, do you want famous people or do you want anyone?
Anybody. It could be your mom, for the sole reason that she cooks a deliciously perfect biryani. It could be Beyonce. It could be anybody.
No, why have to be Beyonce in here? But I mean, it's my parents. Can they be one?
They can be one.
Let's go, my parents. Just because they've weathered every single storm that we've thrown their way. They've raised 2 really amazing kids. They still work incredibly hard. They've managed to build a really good marriage and a really great family. And I haven't started a family yet, but I look to them for inspiration. My husband, he's a chartered accountant, but he's decided to pursue his own path. He's entrepreneurial, and I love that about him, and he inspires me to be a better person and be better in the way I live, be better in my career, be better in self-care. He's really taught me a lot about self-care. I really inspire I really admire almost every boss I've ever worked with. People that I've worked with in positions of leadership have all taught me something or added to my management style, whether it's something that they did that I didn't want to do, or something that they did which I wanted to do. I've learned from them in some way or the other. And then people I love Bill Gates. He's amazing. I love how he, from a very young age, decided what he was going to do, did his 10,000 hours, became excellent at it, and it's just grown an incredible business and foundation. And I absolutely love that about him.
He was right here.
He was. I didn't meet him, but I did go to the tennis and I saw him playing. It was amazing. And then you said Beyonce, but I think it goes beyond that. It's Beyonce, it's Rihanna, it's all of these incredible women of entertainment who, it's Jessica Alba, it's Gwyneth Paltrow, it's people who have really, and women who have excelled in their craft. When you watch a Beyonce show, you feel truly inspired. When you watch Rihanna and taking her entertainment business to Fenty and Savage X Fenty, and doing music and underwear and makeup and just killing it at absolutely everything. You look at Jessica Alba, who was an actress who then started her own multi-million, probably billions now. Gwyneth Paltrow did the same thing. Even Kylie Jenner, who, I mean, you can judge her fashion style or choice in boyfriend or whatever else, but she was a young kid who had connectivity, who launched a billion-dollar industry. And I look at women like that and I go, you had something, you took something and you just launched it into a platform which has not only inspired millions of women, but it's created real tangible value for all the people who are working for them. It's created brands which are so well known and so well respected. And so I guess that's 5 in itself, isn't it? But I mean, those are the sorts of people who really inspire me.
And do you look at being one of those women? Well, I believe that you are in terms of your career, but do you maybe look at launching your own business at some point in time and your own billion-dollar company?
I mean, I'd love to. I love what I do at the moment. But maybe in 5 years when we chat.
5 years when we chat.
5 years when we chat. Let's see what's happened then.
5 years when we chat. Yes, we're marking this. Thank you so much.
You're absolutely welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really believe that you are, if people can look to you for growth, they'd be doing themselves no disservice. You are just fantastic. You lead and you ooze confidence, and you are just such a compassionate person. That's what I love about you. Somebody who's in such a senior and high level position, but you just have this sense of compassion for the people that you work with, for the people that you lead, and that's amazing. And I really honor and value that about you. So thank you.
Thank you, Z. I do have to say, since I'm the first guest on your show, when you told me about...
She's leading already.
When you told me about your show, I couldn't be more excited, because knowing you a little bit and having the chance to interact with you, all those things which you say about me, I see that in you.
Wow.
So I see you as a leader. I see you as having this incredible confidence. Your ability to touch people, to just light up any room you walk into is absolutely incredible. So I hope that the show, and I know that the show is going to go from strength to strength. And to everyone who's watching, Z's going places.
Wow. Did you guys hear that from Laila herself? Thank you.
I'm so excited for what's to come. So
thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for being the woman that you are.
Thank you, Z.
Now let's look at the camera and tell the people that they need to be in the driver's seat of their own career. We'll do it at 3, okay, together. So don't forget to be, let's be in the driver's seat of our own careers. Drive. There you have it, Laila Razack, everybody. I'm truly inspired, and I definitely hope that you are inspired too. But don't forget to ask your questions. If you have any comments or questions, you can send an email to drivereloaded@gmail.com or leave a comment in the comment section below. But don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share it. Maybe somebody out there needs to learn 1 or 2 things from what Laila said here today. But once again, don't forget to be in the driver's seat of your own career. Until next time, drive.